mentor saying, hello, for ABC. I suppose it's sensible to think that by the year 4000, when the colonization of the planet Mars is a fact, the folks up there won't be too much different than we are today, only perhaps wiser. And so our tale is the story of Matt Morrow, editor of the successful telepaper, the Mar News, and of what happened after the strange little man walked into his office.
I don't know how the little man got into my office in the first. One minute I was alone at my desk in Mar News, just finishing up a conversation with the Earth at 50 million miles of space. And the next minute, there he was. He was not only little, he was incongruous. Now, in the year 4000, everyone on Mars wore streamlined clothes spun out of silicon and fabricoid aluminum, but not him. He wore a shiny blue serge suit, and on his head was a straw hat, the kind that went out of style back on Earth hundreds of years ago. He was little, he was incongruous, and he was frightened.
Mr. Morrow, my name is Winter, Professor Abel Winter. I must speak to you before...
How'd you get in here?
Oh, on my feet. Pedal pusher. I'm being chased.
And where did you get that hat?
From my grandfather. This hat carries my hearing aid. The what? My hearing aid. Inside the hat. But please, Mr. Morrow, I arrived on yesterday's rocket from Earth. Special 10-day tour and all that. I'm extremely agitated, Mr. Morrow. Do you realize what's going on across Mars? At the Trinutrium minefield near the cliffs of Carnet?
Oh, mister, not you, too.
Eh?
I've just finished talking to Earth. You people down there are full of unfounded rumors about Mars wobbling in its orbit.
Sir, they're not rumors, I assure you.
Now, look,
Rinker, Professor Abel Rinker, formerly Professor of Metallurgy at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. No, Mr. Morrow, you really must listen to me. I don't have much time.
There's nothing to be frightened about.
Oh, there is. There is indeed. This planet Mars, it's very strange to begin with. Purple eyes, yellow plants with green... Well, as I was saying, Mr. Morrow, I want you to examine my wristwatch.
What?
My wristwatch, Mr. Morrow. Really, it's of vital importance. Now, let me get it off my wrist. The clasp is hard to manage.
Oh, excuse me, someone viewing me. Mar News, Morrow here. Oh, Gwen, hello.
Matt, I hate to call at your office.
Forget it, honey. What's a wife for if you can't annoy her husband? Anytime at all. Hey, that's quite an outfit you're wearing.
You mean this?
Yeah. I like the way it brings out, turn around, Gwen. Let's have a good look.
Like this?
You weren't wearing that when I left the house this morning. Otherwise, I'd have stayed.
Flattered. But I'm so glad you like it. I know it isn't quite what they'd approve of on Earth.
On Earth, they're behind the times. This is Mars. Look, honey, I'm busy. What's on your mind?
Matt, have you seen my wedding ring?
The wedding ring?
I've looked everywhere. And you know how expensive a trinutrium ring is. Much more expensive than gold. There's nothing of a sentimental value.
Oh, it'll turn up, honey. Don't look so worried.
But I can't help it. I could cry.
Well, I'll be home in half an hour. It must be around someplace.
But, Matt, I'm seriously... Oh.
What's the matter? What are you staring at me for?
I'm not at you, Matt. Behind you.
I turned around. The little man with the straw hat was gone. Slipped away while I talked to Gwen. But he'd left his wristwatch. Not on top of my desk. Not on top of anything. The watch was suspended, floating in midair.
Tired, Matt?
Well, I'm glad I'm home.
You didn't find him?
Professor Rinker?
Mm-hmm.
No. And I searched for 3 hours, hand running. I even checked with Planet Security Police.
Was he really a professor, darling?
He said so. Why?
He reminded me of that character in Love and Live.
still listening to those Earth soap operas?
I really enjoy them. But, Matt, I caught a glimpse of him in the viewscope as we started talking. Such a queer little man.
A frightened little man.
Well, I couldn't help thinking it might be some kind of hoax.
Honey,
Hmm?
I've still got his watch. And look, it still floats in the air.
That's what I mean. These days, magicians know all sorts of wonderful tricks. They use atomic energy and physics. Well, I remember 15 years ago back on Earth, even before I married you, even then we used to... Matt, my wedding ring.
What, you found it?
Oh, no, it's still missing. But I mean, your friend's wristwatch, it's made of the same metal.
Trinutrium?
It is, Matt. Now look at the color. Bright green.
Oh, it's probably imitation.
Oh, you men. Does it only take a woman to recognize precious metal? Darling, it's trinutrium.
Let me see that. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is. You know, he was frightened, Gwen. He wanted to talk before it was too late.
Too late for what?
The Trinutrium mines, he said. The cliffs of Karnak. A little man with a hearing aid and a straw hat. Oh, no, it's nonsense. Nothing wrong out there. Like those rumors coming from Earth that Mars is wobbling on its axis. This planet is as stable as the law of gravity and science can make it. We've even stabilized the atmosphere. Must be the planet police calling me back. Hello, Giovanni.
Hello, Matt. Hello, Mrs. Morrow.
Hi.
Nice to see you. I haven't run across you since the Interplanetary Fashion Show.
Oh, yes, that's right.
All right, Giovanni. Get to it.
Well, now, that's no way to talk to the men who keep the peace on the planet.
Who pays the taxes that pay your salary? No. What about Professor Rinker?
Okay. Well, we checked all over, Matt. Last seen about an hour ago.
Where?
City Spaceport.
He took a rocket?
I don't know. According to reports, he was talking with Dave Sedgwick.
Sedgwick, superintendent of the Trinutrium minefield.
At the Karnak Cliffs, the same, yeah. What's up, Morrow? We're the police, you know.
Nothing, Giovanni. Not a thing. Thanks. Thanks very much.
A pleasure. See you again, Mrs. Morrow.
Matt, you shouldn't have.
Shouldn't have what, honey?
Oh, Giovanni, it wasn't important. How did you know it isn't?
Well, I don't want to make a fool of myself if it turns out to be a false alarm. And on the other hand, if it is a story, a real story.
Oh, Scoop Morrow, the demon reporter. And you don't have to tell me. I can read your mind. You're going out to Karnak.
You bet I am. Is the jet boat energized?
I had a buzz this morning. I'm going with you, Matt.
Now, Gwen.
Or shall I call Giovanni back?
Okay. You win. 2,000 miles. We ought to make that in a couple of hours. Glenn handled the controls and I watched. We left Lincoln City behind. We crossed the Mare Deserta with the two Martian moons putting twin shadows on the sand below us. We crossed the polar ice cap. We came to the cliffs of Karnak, 15,000 feet high and black as interstellar space.
Anything, Matt?
Oh, not a sign.
Where's the Trinutrium digging?
Off to the left. You see the buildings up against the base of the cliff?
Well, I can land right beside them, Matt.
Not too close.
Why not?
I want you to stay with the jet, Gwen. You'll be safer. Land on the far side of that lava bed.
Why can't I go along with you?
If Sedgwick's around, I want to talk to him alone.
You're in Newtown in the middle of the night and you come halfway around Mars. Just ask me that. You could have spoken to me on the viewscope, Morrow.
I didn't think of that, Sedgwick.
Here, have a cigar. Imported all the way from Earth.
No, thanks. Just tell me about this,
Yeah, this Professor Rinker.
You did see him at Lincoln Spaceport, Sedgwick?
Yeah, Morrow, I did. The security police were absolutely correct. I never met the man before in my life. Come up to me, grabbed my arm, and started to babble some sort of nonsense.
Mind telling me what?
Oh, he said space thieves are trying to steal trinitrium and take it back to Earth to sell in the black market.
And they'd make plenty. Trinitrium is 50 times as valuable as gold.
Oh, Matt, the man's a crackpot.
There's been no sign of anything going wrong here.
Well, I'm the superintendent. I'd know if there was.
And you've no idea where Rinker is now.
Not the slightest. Last I saw him, he was still at the spaceport holding on to that straw hat.
It looks like I came out on a wild goose chase.
It's too late to go to sleep. I got some terrific 1950 brandy.
No, thanks.
Well, suit yourself. Where'd you leave your jet boat?
Out across the lava bed. No, don't bother coming with me, Sedgwick.
Okay.
Go back to sleep. Sorry I disturbed you. I left the building and started back. I went past the mine entrance and the dormitories where the miners were sleeping. I passed the converter building with the atomic fire buzzing away inside like a sleeping giant. I started out across the lava field, and I found our little man, Professor Rinker.
Mr. Morrow. Oh, thank heaven.
Rinker!
Now get down, Mr. Morrow, please.
Your clothes are all torn.
Now, please get down. That's better. They may be searching by now. Mr. Morrow, I was tied up in one of those buildings. I tore my clothes getting away.
You're going to tell me about space thieves, Professor?
It's true. Every word of it.
Why didn't you go to the police?
Well, I meant to. I was being followed. The next best place was your office.
You left my office.
Well, they picked up my trail again. I was too frightened to stay, but I left my wristwatch.
Yeah, what about that wristwatch?
Well, that's the proof. The fact that the wristwatch is lighter than the Martian atmosphere. You see, I was here yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I came up from Earth on a sightseeing trip, and the first thing I wanted to see was the trinitrium mines. And that's how I stumbled on it.
On what?
The thieves, Mr. Morrow. Yes? Yes. They're using a special process to lighten the trinitrium so they can rocket it to Earth in tremendous quantities. Oh, Mr. Morrow, I beg of you. The security police must be notified. They must be told that...
Oh, what's that? Oh, look! Yeah. Standing in front of that building.
They've discovered my absence, Mr. Morrow. At any moment, they may come...
I guess you're right, Rinker.
Here
they come. The jet boat's up ahead, on the far side of that big boulder. Now run! We ran. Rinker wasn't used to our thin atmosphere. He was gasping for breath. Keep going, Professor. We'll make it. We'll make it. Now, give me your arm. Come on.
No, they're taking
Keep going. Now, here's the boulder. We'll jump in the jet, leave those wheels so far behind they'll never... The jet was gone. There was no sign of it anywhere. It was just gone. Before either one of us could move, the chase was over. A mob came down on us like a whirlwind. The professor was struck down. Two men grabbed me. I saw the butt of a revolver gleam over my head in the moonlight. Then it swung in a vicious arc. A star shell of pain burst inside my head. It went out. And so did I. I've no idea how long Rinker and I were unconscious. The first thing I became aware of was a sort of throbbing hum. For a moment, I thought it was Gwen with the jet, until I opened my eyes. I felt pressure on my wrist and looked at him. I sat strapped to a metal chair, and so did the little professor. We weren't seated in anything quite as old-fashioned as the electric chairs on Earth, but our situation was hardly less dangerous than if we had been. The room had one curved wall. The throb of the condensers told me the rest. We were prisoners in a space rocket about to become airborne. In the dim green light of our rocket cell, I saw the professor slump down, out. Then, the alert.
Attention. All hatches secure. Check safety belts. 8 seconds, takeoff.
I recognized Sedgwick's voice.
6.
He was a space thief.
4. 2. 0. off, all right.
Where are we, Sedgwick? Straight flight?
5,000 miles up in space. We reached maximum acceleration 10 minutes ago. All rockets are zeroed out, and we'll hit the Earth's atmosphere in approximately 2 days.
Oh, this is outrageous. Mr. Sedgwick, you can't steal fine nutrients. It's against the law.
Professor, you're being old-fashioned. Perhaps we ought to put you back to sleep.
Why, you're a criminal.
As a man of science, Professor, you should know the power that comes before law, and I've got the power.
Sedgwick, you're changing the density of Mars. Every time you decrease the weight of trinitrium, you decrease the weight of Mars.
Yes, you're right. Precisely. It may move out of its orbit entirely.
I won't take that much. Maybe $500 million worth.
You may not be able to control the process. Mr. Sedgwick, when we reach the Earth, I shall report this. I most certainly shall.
Cut it out, Professor. Earth is a long way off.
Exactly, Morrow. A long, long way off.
Well, I don't understand.
Don't you? You are a busybody, Professor Rinker. A scientific busybody. You had to come sniffing around the trinutrient diggings, didn't you? And then off you go to the security police.
Well, I tried, but I singularly...
Some of my men were after you. But you got to his news office, didn't you? I don't know how much you told Morrow before you got scared off again.
You didn't tell me much, Sedgwick.
Just enough to make you another busybody. Yeah. Now you're here, out in space. Why do you think I brought you two along? I'll tell you. Just for the atmosphere.
Don't be funny, Sedgwick.
Murchison, bring in the spacesuits.
What's that? Spacesuits from Murchison? Why, Sedgwick, I don't comprehend. Now, Mr. Morrow, what in space
Sedgwick
is he...
is planning to get rid of us, Professor.
But that's ridiculous. Out here in space.
Why not? Big enough to hide you two forever.
What? Why, that would be murder.
The bodies were to be found, but who would think of looking for you in interplanetary space? Well, you'll live for a while. There's enough oxygen in those outfits for 24 hours. If you don't get excited and breathe too fast.
Sedgwick, what did you do with the jet? And where's my wife?
Why worry about her? You won't be seeing her anymore. I must then untie him and get him into these floating suits. We'll eject him out of the forward escape hatch and then look out, terra firma. Here we come.
There was nothing we could do. They were armed, and we had our choice of being tossed out dead or living a while longer. The helmets were snapped on our heads.
We were sealed off in the escape hatch. The outer shell opened and the air from inside the spaceship pushed us out into the empty vacuum of interplanetary space. It was kind of ridiculous. In one of his asbestos gloves, the little professor was still holding on to his precious straw hat. Professor, can you hear me? Is your intercom turned on? Professor!
I can't hear you very well, Mr. Morrow. Now just shout as loud as you can.
They're looking at us from inside the rocket. Can you see them?
Yes. Sedgwick is left. Now why don't they pull away from us?
Easy, Professor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Of course, they could easily. A burst on one rocket jet, and that would leave us behind. But we'd be out of their gravitational pull entirely.
Yeah.
And I wish they would. Of course, then we'd be all alone.
Yeah, completely alone. You and me and your straw hat. Professor.
Yes, Mr. Morrow?
Tell me one thing. Why are you holding on to that hat?
I have to. It won't fit inside the space helmet.
After that, I ran out of words. We drifted, saying nothing. It was a strange feeling. All around us, complete blackness except for the distant stars. I revolved slowly, without weight, without substance. Sedgwick decided to leave us. I saw him wave. I saw a blinding flash from the exhaust. After a while, the awful cold began to creep in. The professor's fingers got numb, and he let go of his hat. It floated beside him. I thought of Gwen and the missing jet boat. I thought of Giovanni. And what a fool I'd been not to call him in on it. I listened to the silence of empty space. Only it wasn't silent. I heard a sound in my earphones. I heard it again. The radar signal. But it was hopeless. I paid no attention. The cold was numbing my fingers and my toes. I could feel it creeping up inside my spacesuit. Creeping like an invisible giant hand that would squeeze out life. I tried to move my fingers, but they were stiff and clumsy. I tried to... Professor! Professor, it's getting louder. Hey, look! Look off there, Professor. It's a rocket ship.
Is it Sedgwick?
No, it's coming from Mars. The planet security rocket. It's the police, Professor. They did find us.
Let it off. Get this cover off my head.
There. Is that better, darling?
Gwen, Pete's sake, Gwen.
You didn't think I deserted you, did you?
The jet boat was gone. We got a smart wife, Morrow. She had a multi-wave radio turned on while she was waiting for you.
The soap operas from Earth, Matt.
Uh-huh. Only instead she picks up Sedgwick talking on the same waveband.
Sedgwick?
Yeah, it's a minefield. Right after you left his office, Sedgwick picks up his short-range two-way talker, and then you're
I
what?
heard him, Matt. I heard Sedgwick telling his men to go after you. You knew too much. And I heard them tell him that Professor Winker had escaped.
So she takes off from Karnak and radios to us. And when we get there, it's just in time to see that rocket disappear into space. So we fuel up and tag along front of her. Where is the professor?
Well, he was almost unconscious. We put him to bed, Matt. He kept mumbling about losing a straw hat.
Giovanni, what about Sedgwick? He's loaded down with $500 million worth of trinucleum. He's heading for the Earth.
I think we'll get there first and wait for him. How about it? You want to be part of the reception committee?
2 days later, dawn was breaking over the Nevada high country. The air was thin and sharp, and the mountains threw long blue shadows over the stunted sagebrush and juniper. I lay hidden behind a patch of scrub with Gwen beside me. This was part of the United States. It was the first time Gwen had been back on Earth since we were married. And she was quite excited. So was I, but for a different reason. Just as the sun touched the high mountains and the frost that lay over the valley began to sparkle, just then, Sedgwick's rocket drifted in like a pale moon. He was using his remaining rocket fuel to break his speed. He made a perfect landing on his tail fins. We watched as the hatch opened, the ladder dropped down, and the crew stepped out.
Now, boys, wait a minute. As soon as the truck gets here, we'll peddle this stuff and we'll be rich. Lovely idea.
Gwen, you wait here.
Oh, Matt, smell the sagebrush. Doesn't it smell
Never
good?
mind the sagebrush. Just keep out of sight.
I will. Be careful, Matt.
Don't worry. Keep that light shining in those big brown eyes. I'll be back. I circled, hoping to get almost upon them without being noticed. Murchison had gone into the rocket. Sedgwick lay stretched out on the ground. And I had a bit of fast action in mind, if I could get near enough to him. On my belly, a foot at a time, I made that last 50 yards, until I was within 3 yards of him. And then that sagebrush Gwen loved the smell of, a good whiff of it came my way, and... What a time to pick up an allergy. Sedgwick turned.
Morrow.
Yeah, it's me. Surprise.
Morrow, you're supposed to be...
Don't even mention it, Sedgwick. I've been brooding about that nasty trick of yours. Now, let's see you straighten up. That's it. Now, down again.
Hide my eyes, Tonto.
Oh, the gun, eh?
Drop it now, tramp.
Drop it, Sedgwick. You heard what he said. Reach. Up.
Police. There's a calling with police.
That's right. Way up. And keep 'em up.
All right. We're done. Well, it's too bad you didn't have some viewers around, then everybody on Mars could have seen the capture.
They have, Sedgwick. They're seeing it right now. Well, a few minutes from now, as soon as light travels from here to there. Gwen! Gwen, where are you?
Right here, darling.
Oh, come on, Gwen. The Earth is a nice planet to visit, but I wouldn't live here if you gave me the place. Let's go home. To Mars.
More coffee, Matt?
Oh, yes. Thanks, honey. You glad you got your ring back?
Mm-hmm. It had just gotten so light it floated up to the ceiling. As soon as they reversed Sedgwick's process, it got heavy again like the rest of the trinitrium on Mars and plink, down it came.
Ah, Sedgwick. Quite a party. You know, the professor and I were lucky to get out of that one alive. Oh, say, one thing puzzles me.
Mm-hmm.
Stop admiring that ring, honey, and pay attention. I mean, how Giovanni managed to locate us out in space. Those radar sweeps should never have picked us up.
The professor's straw hat, darling.
The what?
His straw hat. His hearing aid was in it, and it was turned on. Somehow it increased the strength of the return signal so we could track it down clearly.
You mean that battered old straw hat, the one that's still out there?
Huh? Well, what's so funny?
An old straw hat, and it saved our lives. You know, maybe I should put an ad in the next issue of Mar News. Lost in interstellar space, one straw hat. If found, please return to Professor Abel Rinker or to Matt Morrow, editor, Mar News.
That's it. Morrow on Mars. Next week, another extraordinary tale of tomorrow by John Christopher called The Drop. About a fellow who wanted to change. He didn't like the world he lived in and tried to get himself deported to Earth. So, this is your host, Omentor. Till next week, then. Don't go looking for old straw hats.
Tales of Tomorrow. Heard in tonight's play were George Petrie, Fran Carlin, Leon Janney, George Frabjoy, and your host, Omentor, Raymond Edward Johnson. Special effects, Ed Blaney and Bob Prescott. Engineer, Joe Durante. The music was composed and conducted by Bobby Christian. Tales of Tomorrow was produced by ABC in association with George Foley and directed by Warren Somerville. Now a listening reminder.
You'll hear the latest news on KECA at 10 o'clock.